name's Joe Stanley and I'm a farmer here at the Allerton project, a 300-hectare mixed arable and livestock farm on the Leicestershire-Rutland border. And I'm going to take you on a tour of our farm today. But first of all, I thought we'd introduce you to some of the products that we actually produce here on the farm. Now, we have sheep here at the Allerton project. We also grow wheat, barley, oats, oilseed rape and field beans. So this is a basket of some of the goods that we actually produce that you may find in your homes. Obviously things like lamb chops, bread, wheat flour and porridge oat. However, we also have things like oilseed rape that we grow on the farm. This goes into cooking oil. Tortilla wraps, of course, they are also another type of bread utilising the wheat that we grow here. Our oats may actually go into things like this oat drink, which is an alternative for some people to dairy milk. Beer. We obviously grow barley here, malting barley on the farm, and this goes into the beers and into the whiskey. Things like eggs as well, for example. Now, we don't have chickens on the farm, but some of the cereal crops that we grow actually go to provide the food for the chickens, which then produce the eggs. If you follow me inside, we can also see some of the non-food items that we also produce on this farm, which you may find in your everyday lives. So here you can see in the walls of our visitor centre here at the Allerton project, we actually are utilising straw bales. So this is a byproduct, the stem from the wheat and the barley that we grow on this farm. This can actually be used as a really eco-friendly insulation, which we use in the walls of our building. Of course, we could also have used sheep's wool, which is another really great, natural, completely biodegradable and eco-friendly product, which you can use in the building trade. But also things like this. Another use of the straw that you see behind me is potentially as drinking straws, completely biodegradable and eco-friendly drinking straws, because we all know what a problem plastics are in our environment. So here we are in a field of oilseed rape, and as you can see, it's in full flower. Now these flowers are a really valuable source of food for pollinators in the countryside, and those flowers will actually eventually become the pods, which are full of the little seeds of the oilseed rape. Now, oilseed rape, as we've seen before, can actually go into anything from cooking oil, such as this, to also going into industrial processes. And oilseed rape is a really valuable part of the British crop rotation. It actually provides a break between crops of wheat and barley, which is really important for the long-term health and productivity of our soils. So what's happening in this field today is that we're planting or drilling our spring oats. Now, in previous years and previous decades, you would have seen ploughs out, turning the soil over, and then we would have been planting into that. What we're doing in this field today with a specialist piece of equipment called a direct drill is we're just planting directly into the stubble of last year's crop, and that's helping us to establish our oats with a lower carbon footprint, which is better for the environment. And this is what we're actually planting today. So these are oats from last year's harvest. And what we'll do is these are run through a cleaner to make sure that we remove all the chaff and bits of straw. We then might add a seed dressing to them, which could either be nutrition or a plant protection product to protect them as they start to grow. And we then put these into our crop drill and we drill them directly into the soil. And this is the final stage in the process. So we could have some good old-fashioned porridge oats coming out of this oat field by harvest time. Alternatively, they could go into something such as this oat drink, an alternative to dairy milk. Or alternatively also oat-based biscuits, some nice really munchy oat biscuits. So we're now standing in a field of winter wheat. Winter wheat is the most popular and commonly grown cereal crop in the country. As you can see behind me, looking really good and green now as we're into spring. Now, winter crops are planted in the autumn and they're in the ground throughout the winter, and they can be in the ground for up to 12 months before they're harvested. Spring crops are planted in the spring and they're in the ground for a much shorter period of time. They usually do give you less yield. Now, what we see here is the start of the process. So this is wheat seed that we harvested last harvest here at Loddington, and this will have been harvested around about 10 tonnes to the hectare will be a reasonable yield of wheat seed. A hectare is about the size of a rugby pitch. So this is the start of the process. So after harvest, the wheat goes off the farm and is processed into flour if it goes for milling wheat. And from that flour, of course, we get all of the products that we love. So soil is every farmer's most important resource, and here at the Allerton project we've spent years researching ways to look after it and safeguard our soils. It's not only important from a production point of view, all food grown in the world comes from a few inches of topsoil, which is incredibly delicate. Now I'm just going to dig a sample of soil out here now to show you guys what is going on beneath our feet in a healthy soil. So this field, this soil, is in a permanent arable rotation, so it has to give us a lot of productivity. What you can see is this is a lovely, well-structured soil. It smells really good from the point of view of a farmer. It crumbles apart in the hand really easily, so there's really nice structure and aggregation to this. You can see how far down the roots of these wheat plants are going, so they can access the nutrients deep within the soil. And as you can see, it's also full of earthworms and other soil biology, and they're in there making the soil a living, breathing thing. And that's what's incredibly important in a really productive agricultural soil, and we're really proud of our soils here at the Allerton project. So what's one of the key things that we get from sheep? Well, of course, that is wool. And of course, wool becomes jumpers. And of course, lamb chops for dinner. So it might not look like it, this is actually a shovel full of gold dust, at least as far as a farmer is concerned. Now what we have here is actually some sheep poo from the girls behind us. But what is so important about this is that this is providing us with really essential both organic nutrition, the nutrients within the poo itself is really vital in providing the nutrients that our crops need and our grass needs, but also this poo is actually really important in providing general soil health benefits within our cropping rotation. In the UK, most of our lambs are born around the springtime to take advantage of the really lush grass that we're so good at growing here in the UK with our sunshine and rainfall. So that's what you can see here, a field full of mothers waiting to lamb. Now what they're also doing here in the Allerton project is we're using these sheep and this grass to actually help to make our arable rotation more sustainable. So this is actually an arable field. But we had a bit of a weed problem in here. So what we've done is we've planted grass on it and we're now grazing sheep on that grass. And what that's helping to do is to actually control the weeds that we had in that arable rotation without having to resort to using large quantities of synthetic pesticides. So for modern British farmers, increasing and enhancing our biodiversity on farm is incredibly important, and nowhere more so than here at the Allerton project. Now what you can see behind me is a large arable field through which we've actually established this really large space for nature to thrive. What you can see here is a pollinator mix, which we will see come up as spring progresses, and this will be a really beneficial habitat and food source for pollinators such as bees. Next door to it here is what is called a beetle bank, and this has been created with the intention of bringing beneficial invertebrates and insects back into our arable field and hopefully allowing us to reduce our use of synthetic pesticides. And next to it on the left here, although it doesn't look like much now, this has actually done its job for the year. This is a wild bird seed mix, and this provided really important additional food in the form of seeds for our farmland birds through sort of December and January especially. I hope you've enjoyed visiting the Allerton project today for a quick tour of what we're doing here. If you want to learn more about food and farming and where your food comes from, please do attend a Leaf Open Farm Sunday visit near you.